What's going on, Nostalgia Maniacs? I just wanted to take some time to say thank you for tuning in, no matter where you're listening, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching live on YouTube or Twitch. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to take a trip down memory lane each and every week. If you would, please like and share on whatever platform you're on. It really helps keep the nostalgia alive. Now, as always, let's get nostalgic.
'80s glow, the '90s flare, joystick battles and pixel care. Each tale we tell, each laugh we share. It's a gamer's journey beyond compare. Nostalgia Mania, press start and see the games of the past where we long to be. Tune in each week, it's time to rewind. Retro memories for the gamer's mind. Nostalgia Mania.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into yet another edition of Nostalgia Mania, the show where we dive deep into those 80s, 90s, and early 2000 video games, those nostalgic memories that makes all the good times. I am your host, the real Josh Elliott, and with me today is my co-host, Derrick Stich Mania. What's up, man?
Not a lot, sir. What's up with you?
Nothing, man. Nothing. We got a heck of an episode 16 today.
Yep.
We've got a fun one. You can see here at the bottom of the screen, we're talking about Contra, one of the most iconic Nintendo games on the NES. So we'll dive into that. But before we do, let's episode 16, man. This is officially starting our 4th month of doing Nostalgia Mania. So
4 months already. That's
how you feeling, man? Did you ever think we'd get first? Did you ever think you'd be hosting a podcast? And I mean, how you feeling after 16 weeks?
No, honestly, no, not at all. I was, when you and Chase were doing them for, the I-70 hot tag, I wasn't like jealous because that's not the right word, but almost kind of envious because you guys were doing it. And then, you were doing your Fountain City Pro stuff and, kind of like, man, I really want to get in on that stuff and do it. So,
yeah.
And then here we are,
Here we are 4 months in, man. Episode 16. Like you said, I didn't think we'd, I thought we'd get here. I've been on a slow, steady start on podcasts before. So, and we're starting to pick up steam too. Like we got the following a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Like we jumped like double our following on Facebook. We're live now on our Facebook page at Nostalgia Mania. If you don't follow us over there, go give us a like and a follow, a share. All the help would be greatly appreciated. We are also live on YouTube, as we always are, at The Real Josh Elliott. There is a live playlist that has all of the Nostalgia Mania episodes on there. They're all in order. They're numbered the same, labeled the same. So it's a real easy playlist if you want to go over there and check that out. And we are also live on, well, we're not live, but you're listening. If you're on the podcast platforms, you can see at the top right of the screen, we're live on all, I keep saying live. We are on all podcast platforms, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Castbox, all that good stuff. So shout out to Alyssa Arthur in the house today. Gonna come listen to us talk about a game 10, 15 years before she was born. So, Yeah,
she's about to get an education today.
She is. She is. I do want to shout out though. Both Alyssa and Autumn both are support this, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to have people commenting live, to share their memories and stuff. And even if you didn't play it very much, it's still fun to have people interacting with us.
Yep, absolutely.
As we're going along. So yeah, man, join us as we dive into the ultimate 8-bit run and gun adventure. From jungle battles to alien layers, we are reliving the co-op chaos, the 30 life cheat code, and all the explosive action that made this game a legend. But first, Stich needs to take a selfie.
Oh yeah, I need to take a selfie. Okay.
But first, tell us where we can follow you on social media.
Facebook at Derrick L. Stich. X at Stich Effin Mania. Instagram is, I believe, Stich Mania. I have a TikTok. I have a Twitch. I have a YouTube. So yeah. Mainly Facebook is my main social media account. So
go give Stich some love on his Facebook. Yeah, go follow Stitchamania. He on all of his platforms. But like I said, he's mostly active on his Facebook, but he's got all those other ones. So and I'm on the same platforms at The Real Josh Elliott. So again, we would rather you follow the Nostalgia Mania platforms than my personal, because you're here because of the 80s and 90s video games, not because I'm posting about the Jacksonville Jaguars or Pepsi Cola. So
anyway, they got a new head coach. So
we did. It was a very crazy story on how we got that head coach, but he's in. He has not quite learned how to say the Duval, but he'll get there. He will get there. Speaking of football, here we are again in another Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl appearance.
Yep. Can't say I'm upset.
Why? Yeah, why would you?
Everybody else is though, but
the entire United States, other than the Kansas City Metro, is.
Yep.
What? Go ahead.
There's people either hate the Kansas City Chiefs right now, or they hate Donald Trump, or both. So
Or both, yeah. You're in a world of hurt if you hate both. Then again, if you're a football fan, like you're hating the Chiefs pretty much and the Eagles. If you're not a fan of those teams, you didn't want either of them teams to make it.
Yeah.
So because they've just, again, the world hates constant winners, and the Chiefs have proven that, and the Eagles have been there quite a bit recently too. So, Speaking of that, everybody hated New England. Everybody hated Tom Brady, hated Bill Belichick, hated the New England Patriots. Yet during their tenure, you had their scandals. You had Deflategate, you had Spygate. We, so far that I know of, we haven't cheated yet. Despite what people might think about us supposedly paying. See those air quotations, paying the referees, so it is what it is, so, Yeah.
we're not the first team to get favored in calls. We're not going to be the last team.
Oh no.
So
no. I did find it funny.
Those refs are human beings. They're not going to make every call that they see. They're not going to see all the calls either. Even if it's right in front of them, they're still probably going to miss it. But,
Yep. I did find it funny that in our group chat, someone, I think it was Kyle or someone, said something like, is it really worth getting an AFC championship t-shirt? Like, it must be nice to debate on whether or not you should get another one or not. But then he mentioned, like, I don't think they put years on it. So, and I'm like, man, it must be nice to be wearing an AFC championship shirt and just not know what year it's from. Like, Oh, man.
Has Jacksonville ever won the AFC?
No, because that big them in the Super Bowl. No, they've been to the AFC Championship game 3 times, and all 3 times they lost. Yeah, twice to the Patriots and once to the Titans. So, yeah. Anyway, let's. Nobody's here to watch or listen about football. They're here to talk about nostalgic video games. And before we get into our main topic, we always kind of take a little peek back of what we did last week, which we had a very good outing as far as viewership and comments go, but we talked about Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64. How'd you think that episode went, man? I think it was a very good one, and I had a lot of fun. What'd you think?
Yeah, it went really well. You know, especially, and what makes these shows better is you viewers interacting with us, commenting. You know, so keep doing that because we love that stuff because it makes it seem like we're not just talking to ourselves. So, you know, because we can do that on the phone or on video. So, you know.
Yep. I mean, that's the whole.
We have you guys comment and interacting with us. It just makes it for a better episode, more content, you know. So,
yeah, we call this a Nostalgia Mania podcast. It's really both. It's a podcast and a video cast. So, video cast right now as we're interacting, but I mean, most podcasts don't do it live like this. They don't go live, and if they do, they highly edit their shows. And then that takes a lot of time. Not only are you trying to plan for the episode and then you're doing the episode, then you have to go back and edit the episode.
Yep.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
So what you're hearing, if you're listening to it right now on Spotify or on the podcast platform, you're hearing it exactly how it went live on the streaming platforms. There's really no editing that happens. It's just save and upload. So
we're pulling out our Bill O'Reilly.
There you go. There you go. All right. So let's jump into this Contra. And I do want to point out a comment. I showed it earlier, Alyssa. Don't know if I was ever introduced to this game. That's an L on my older brother's part. So yes, that is an L on my part. Now I will say this was probably more of an L on your uncle's part because this is definitely one of his favorite games of all time. But you know, it is what it is. My bad. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk Contra. And before we even get into it, I'm not going to forget this time. We're going to just play the little quick intro, and it's literally 10 seconds.
Yep.
And
awesome intro. Awesome.
There it is. Contra, and I'll flash here the intro screen. Is basically the premise is it is the year of 2633. 2 commandos, names were Bill Reiser and Lance Bean, are sent to a remote island to stop an evil alien entity known as Red Falcon, which threatens humanity. Battling through waves of enemy soldiers, high-tech defenses, and alien creatures across jungles, bases, and alien layers, the heroes must destroy Red Falcon's heart to save the planet. It's a classic blend of 80s action, sci-fi elements packed with nonstop run and gun excitement. And there's the cover. Bill Reiser and Lance Bean. So
you know what would have been awesome, man, back in the 80s, you know, because this game came out in 1988. What would have been amazing? Because if you look at this cover of this game, you literally have what could be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. You know how awesome of a movie that could have been?
All you have to do is a quick Google search, and that exact image will appear. There's already a dubbed version of this cover with those 2 exact actors.
Oh, yeah.
So But yeah, I thought the same thing.
I mean, you look at it and you could literally see those two.
Yeah.
I mean, you really could, and
Yeah.
it would be awesome.
Yep.
Because there for a long time, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone never worked together up until the Expendables. Because I think Stallone was always trying to get Arnold Schwarzenegger to do stuff with him, and he never would. That's why there's kind of this gag. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but it's called Last Action Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, they go to like a Blockbuster. It looks like a Blockbuster. It's just a movie rental place. And the cardboard cutout of Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually Sylvester Stallone as the Terminator. So that was kind of funny.
Nice.
But that's a great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Came out in the early to mid 90s. I want to say it came out in like 94, 95. So
speaking of release dates, this one came out February 20th of 1987, and it was just before I was born. So I was born in July of 87. So you were what, almost 2? You're born 85, right?
yeah.
So you were almost 2, and yeah, this is for Nintendo Entertainment System. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's the craziest stat that I think I have ever heard. And I'm going to quiz you on this. I know you have not seen it yet, and you may have, you may not have. But if I were to ask you, where do you think Contra ranks in Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, in terms of sold copies? Like, are they in the top 5? Are they in the top 10? Where do you think they rank? If I were to ask you, if you haven't seen what I'm getting ready to say, what would you have said in where do you think they rank?
I'm gonna say probably top 5, honestly. I could definitely see that.
Okay. I don't know if I would have ranked them in the top 5 as far as I probably would have said 10, because I mean you have some good titles like Mario and Duck Hunt, Zelda. We've already kind of talked about what was in the top 5 earlier, but I knew they were kind of probably on the verge of the 5th. Maybe they were like 7th, 6th, 7th, whatever. They are not in the top 10. Are they in the top 20? No. Are they in the top 30? No.
Wow.
And in fact, there are at least 78 Nintendo games that sold more copies and made more money than Contra.
Wow.
The list only goes, it gave you the top 78, and it only told you the games that sold at least 1 million copies. Contra is not among that list.
That's actually surprising because, that game was a great co-op. You and your dad, you and your mom, you and your friend, your sister, your brother, could literally pick that up and just push a couple buttons and, you're running and gunning. So, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, see Brian Ruse watching. Yeah, he thought 6. It not even in the top 78. And
wow.
So, which is crazy to me. So, I don't know. We just finished the time of year, right? We just got done with the holidays and Christmas, and when I learned that, I started thinking and trying to compare it to something, and I've got a comparison, and I think it works pretty well. And I think you might know where I'm going with this. There's a movie that is highly popular right now. Not right now, but it has been very popular, and it is shown every single Christmas. It is shown for 24 hours on Christmas, and it is on 2 separate channels, and that's called A Christmas Story. And that movie is a cult classic now, and I don't want to say most, but a lot of families make it a point to watch A Christmas Story every Christmas. Now, rewind, when that movie came out, it was absolute tank in the box office. Nobody watched it. It was not highly regarded like it is today. It became a favorite. And this is exactly what happened to Contra, I think. It got released. People just didn't gravitate toward it. We had Mario, you had other games to play. And then after the fact, that's when Contra came and started to get popular. Was after it was already released. And I'm sure they made money after the fact, but that when NES was hot and popular and before Super Nintendo, it was it just didn't sell. I don't know why, man. Like the visuals for this game, let me show you I don't want to show you. I guess we'll show you a gameplay clip. I've got that queued up and then we'll talk about guns, but I mean, to me, I can't believe this didn't sell well. Let's take a look.
Why of all sounds would they choose when you're shooting, like the guns that are, like on the side of the grass or the mountain, whatever you want to call that, side of the level, I don't know. It makes that ting, 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 ting. Like,
I know. That's
probably why it's not. It's probably why I didn't sell many copies. It was too annoying for people.
Like, ain't nobody want to sit there with their, listen to their kids and just hear that noise constantly in the background. That's funny. I mean, regardless of how well it sold, in 2004, GameSpot included it in the list of greatest games of all time in 2024 or 2004. I'm sorry. IGN voted it as the toughest game to beat, which you kind of got a little bit of a story here in a second about the toughest game to beat. And then Nintendo Power ranked Contra as the 7th best NES game and one of the best multiplayer Nintendo games of all time, which is crazy. Like I said, this game is highly regarded. It has accolades, and it just didn't translate well, which sucks, man. Think about being the developers of this game and just not seeing the return, the ROI, the return on investment of this game as what they expected. So tell me a little bit about your memories of playing Contra as a kid, and even and you mentioned you got you got something recently where you played it, but just kind of tell me any memories you have of playing the game.
Just, I mostly played it by myself, and never always had somebody to play it with. I don't actually specifically remember if we actually owned a copy of it when I was a kid. It might have been, again, one of those games that, I'd go over to somebody's house if I was able to and play it with them or something. But I don't actually, to my recollection, I don't actually ever remember actually having the copy ourselves. Because my dad, the first system I remember having was the Intellivision and then the NES. So in the NES, me and him played it a lot. And I don't know. I mean, and I can't ask him because he wouldn't remember. because that was even further further away from his memories than it would be mine.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a fun game, man. And obviously, I probably say that every time we bring up games. It's a fun game, obviously, because we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the game if it wasn't fun. But I don't have specific memories, no. But yeah, so on Xbox and I'm sure on PlayStation and the Switch, they have a Contra collection, and it has like 8 games that you can play. They have like the arcade version, and they have an arcade version, and they have like the NES version that you can go on there and play, and it's just like playing the original game, and then a bunch of other games like Contra or that are named Contra. But other than Super Contra, the other Contra games that are even out there, I've never even heard of. So I never even played. So, but yeah, I was playing Contra earlier, and I only made it to the end of the first level because I kept dying. Because as easy as the game was to pick up and play, it was just as hard. And especially because since our controllers now for our systems are joystick, very involved with the joysticks. You gotta aim at an angle to shoot down at the guys, or the little wings that come up and give you gun upgrades or life upgrades, whichever. And it's just hard with the joystick to shoot them down at an angle. But you can actually use the D-pad on there as well. So it just kind of remember learning how to exactly play that game, from so long ago. But it's still just as fun, still just as hard. But yeah, I kept dying because I don't think there's a way, and I didn't type in the code or anything. And but yeah, I got all the way to the end of the level, and I was like, oh, there's that wall that I remember. And then I died. So I basically saw it. Hey, there it is. Bam, I'm dead. Oh, yeah. And then I shut it off, came in here, and here we are.
Here we are. Man, you could not express any more of what I remember more than you did, because this game was extremely frustrating. It was very hard. Even with 2 players, which is definitely how I played this game. I was completely opposite of you. You played it by yourself a lot. I never played it unless I had somebody there, mostly because of the difficulty. Even if you did the legendary Konami Code, which, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
Up, down, down, left, right. Select start, A, B, A, something like that.
Close, yeah. Up, down, down, left, right, B, A, start.
Okay, so I put the select in there.
Yeah, select start, I think, is they added that to a Mortal Kombat game, which and anyway, nonetheless, but this is where the Konami Code was born, was in Contra, and obviously it was used in games after that, but like I said, man, like you hit the nail on the head. It was an extremely hard game, and if you didn't have a partner, you weren't getting very far. Even if you got 30 lives using the code, I mean, you could lose. You remember we talked to Jason, a few weeks ago when we talked about Donkey Kong and how frustrating it was when he had Minecart Carnage and he just lose all of his lives. This game was just exactly the same, and didn't matter what level it was tough.
Yeah, I mean, you start out with 3 lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you don't have the code, you're not beating the game. There's no way. I know there's people that's done it, but for the average gamer, the average player, there's no way you're beating Contra with 3 lives.
Yep.
No way.
And that's the thing too, like when games that are re-released and they come out with like these collections and these remasters and remakes, it would be better, I think, to come out with like a couple different versions of it. Come out with a version that where you couldn't, hit select or start or a certain button, and then you get like you can just rack up your lives however you want. They should be able to come out with, hey, I want to start out with this many lives, in the original game, and then maybe have another version where you could add all the lives you want,
Yep.
So, because that's not how we remember having, a bunch of lives for some of these games like we can with these collections and, re-releases and stuff like that. So,
Yep. Let's pull up a screenshot. If you remember, these guns were pretty unique in their own right. But it was always fun. You started off with just a regular rifle, and then you had the upgrade to the rifle, which was the third screenshot down, which are kind of just bigger bullets, and you have a capacity of 6, and there was more of a rapid fire on that gun as well. Then you had a laser gun, which was just a long straight bullet that would hit your opponents and cause a lot of damage. The flamethrower, which was probably my least favorite, just because you would shoot that thing and those had no rhyme or reason. I felt like those flames would just kind of go all over the place, and it didn't feel like it did much damage, but I'm sure it did. But to me, it didn't feel like it was that effective. And by far my favorite, and probably everybody's favorite, is the spread gun.
Oh, yeah.
The bottom one where you can shoot, 10 bullets or whatever it is, in kind of a wide arc to kill your opponent. So, yeah, I have a couple. I made them a little bit. They're really pixelated, so I wanted to show that first. That's the rifle. Here's a pixelated version of the laser, and then again the spread gun. So again, that's my favorite right there. Do you have?
That's all right, because that's how it looked back then anyway. Actually, this is probably an improvement over the graphics from the game anyway. So.
Probably, yeah. The men were a little bit smaller. The characters were a little bit smaller, but yeah. So was that kind of your same sentiment? Is the spread gun probably your favorite as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
especially when you had those mounted guns.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot them and shoot the guys running at you.
Yep. Yep. So let's take a look at some of these levels, man. Like, we already kind of watched a little bit of this in the beginning, but
yeah, that's the jungle.
That's the jungle. That's level 1. That's where probably the most players who have played this game obviously are most familiar, because that's where you start. It's just kind of a dense environment. The background, you can see a bunch of trees, the river to cross, and then that wall with the turrets at the very, very end. That's the boss. That's the final, what you have to do. Just kind of, this level just kind of introduces the core gameplay, the mechanics, the spread gun you can get in this level. So it kind of shows everything. So one of my favorites, and we talked a little bit about the type of level, and I think we did Turtles, because how you play a side scroller and then it kind of shifts and you're looking at kind of at a different angle. This one's base, which is this first of 2 bases that you play in. It's the second level. It's just kind of a behind the character. You've got those lasers going across where you can't cross. You're firing down the hallway. Do you remember did you get by the first level very often to play base, or how far did you get in the game? Did you remember?
I think so. No, I don't. No, not at all. I don't remember how far I ever made it.
But you definitely did not ever beat the game?
Probably not. No.
Yeah. I know I didn't. And I will tell you exactly the level that I probably have never played. And I'll show you when we get there. I've played both bases, and I think the snow. Anyway, we'll get to it. But I loved it. It was great. You played side scroller, and then you turn. And again, it was also fun with 2 players, because both of you are standing there, both of you are shooting. You can split the level in half. I'll take the left side, you take the right side. Boom. These levels were really fun with 2 players. Again, another level we saw in the intro, the gameplay clip, was waterfall. Basically, you just got to jump on those platforms, and a lot of shooting up and down. You don't really, there is some, just straight ahead shooting, but a lot of it you had to go underneath the opponents, the enemies, and shoot them from below or from above. So, and then obviously the water kind of flowing behind you was kind of a fun visual. And then, base 2, which looks very similar to base 1. Another behind the character, where you, but it's definitely much harder. Lots more things coming at you. Does more damage if you get hit, and you have to do a lot more ducking, diving, weaving, and you have to be more precise on your shots. So, yeah. Let's go to the comments here. We got a couple. Level looks so familiar. I'm telling you, like, I know you probably played it at some point in time, Alyssa. It was in the mix when we brought up the regular Nintendo in the house in Grandview. So Super Mario Brothers 2 had a level like that. Which one are we talking about? Stich Mania?
Oh, the waterfall. Alyssa said it looked kind of familiar, so I said that's maybe what she might be thinking of as well.
Yeah, so, you're right. Yep. Super Mario Brothers 2 had a waterfall level just like that. Yep. And then before we move on to the next gameplay clip, I'll just show you this one. This right here is the furthest I had ever been on the game. I remember
that doesn't even look familiar.
Yeah, this one's Snowfield. And I remember beating Jungle. I remember beating both bases, and I remember beating Waterfall, but I never could beat Snowfield. And I don't recognize any of the levels afterwards. But this level, again, this one kind of reminded me of Jungle. It's more open-ended. The enemies are attacking from multiple angles, and basically you just run through the level just like you did on Jungle until you got to face, which is where I always died. You have a pair of tanks at the very end, and that's the boss. And there was absolutely no beating the tanks, for me, at least. So, yeah. Imagine trying to beat 2 tanks versus the wall at the first level. That's much more difficult. Let's see. Yes, the waterfall one. Let's take a look, man. Let's go back to another gameplay clip before we finish off the last few levels that neither one of us had ever played.
Tink, 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 tink.
You gotta admit, though, some of those levels were like, I mean, for something that came out before I was even born, 1987. I mean, on Nintendo and being in the 80s, it was, flashy, had a lot of stuff happening at one time on the screen, which is always fun to do, and it didn't look terrible.
No.
At least for the time, for sure. So,
yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell what's going on, what's in the level, what's not. There's some video games out there that you play from back then, and you're like, what is going on? What am I looking at here? Like, where's, what's this? What's this over here? So,
yeah, it did a really good job of like I said, I still cannot, and I'm not going to let this go. I cannot believe it did not sell 1 million copies. It's mind blowing to me. So,
I kind of wonder why when they wrote the story for the game, what did you say? The year 2633?
Yeah, it was.
It
was 2633 was the year. Yep.
Why would they choose 2633?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know, but speaking of years, I told my sisters this. I came home from work today, and my wife was watching, and I don't know if it was her or the kids, whatever. They were watching. Have you ever seen Xenon of the Future? Or ever heard of it?
What is it called?
Xenon of the Future?
No.
Okay. Anyway, it was a show that happened, and I think it was aired in like 2000s, or I don't even know exactly when. It was a while back. Anyway, they referenced 2025 in the show. That was, and actually 2025 was actually in the past in their show. So I'm not sure what year it's based in, but
well, and that's just like Back to the Future referencing, 2015.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
And then 2015 came, and we have no hoverboards. Well, we have hoverboards, but not the type that I want.
Hoverboards.
Not the ones from Back to the Future. We don't have our flying cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's finish up here. Let's go back to our list of levels. We got Snowfield. So we saw a little bit of this in the gameplay clip. This is Energy Zone. High-tech industrial complex filled with traps like flames, jets, tight platforms. The boss of this level was a huge alien-like machine that shoots out orbs and releases enemies. So you're not only trying to kill it, but it's throwing out enemies to kill as well. Just a fast-paced, looked like a fast-paced level from what I could see. And interrupt me at any point in time, Stitch. I don't want to just go, but interrupt if you ever want to interject. We only got 2 more levels here. This one's called Hangar. Just a very red level. It's a mechanical hangar. Got conveyor belts and enemies coming down in all directions. The boss, huge alien-like. I read the wrong line. This is the huge alien-like machine that shoots out orbs and enemies. The energy zone level was the wall-mounted flamethrower, and I should have known that because we saw it in the clip. That's my bad. So this is the one with the machine that shoots out orbs.
Nope, you messed up. So now we got to rewind it, man.
Yeah, now we got to go back. Yeah, now we got to go back and edit this out so nobody can hear it. Yeah, I just said, let's see. Adam Shea. What's up, sir? Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Talking some Contra. Let me know, any of you, if you got some Contra history, memories, all that good stuff. If you ever beat the game, because neither one of us ever beat it. We're not good enough.
We're not worthy.
We are not worthy. We do not have the power. And then the final level of the game came at Alien's Lair, which is in a creepy alien hive. It's filled with organic-looking walls, egg-like pods, and alien enemies. The boss is, strangely enough, the heart of the alien. You're not facing an alien. You're trying to defeat the heart of the alien, which we saw in that. Actually, we haven't seen it yet. I have a clip at the end that will show what happens when we actually beat the game. So that's it, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 levels to this. Not a lot. I never got through. I got to the 5th and never got past. Never got further. So let's take a gander at what happens when you actually do beat Contra. You saved the world, Stich.
All that for that.
The world is saved. That's all you get.
Wow.
You fly away on a helicopter, the island blows up and sinks into the ocean, and you get a congratulations message on the screen that says, "Congratulations for enduring the most suffering you're ever going to suffer in a video game ever. Congratulations. Thanks for playing."
Yeah.
Oh,
man, if that were a game like now in this time, people would be upset.
Yeah.
Just like when our favorite movies and TV shows and how they end. Like, well, if we had a video game that ended that way, we'd be upset too. So.
Yeah. Yep. The worst is when they cancel a TV show that leaves you in a giant cliffhanger and you have there's no resolution.
Yep. And you know what? Speaking of that, watching scary movies doesn't make you a psycho killer. Canceling TV shows is what makes you a psycho killer. Okay? So.
Heard that.
The Wayans brothers didn't even get a final episode, man.
You upset about that, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Let's
No, that was a movie quote. That was from Scary Movie. I think it was
my bad.
the second one.
I wasn't picking up what you were laying down. That's my fault.
I know, it's all right, man. Hopefully somebody that watches this, one day, it's like, oh, hey, that's a quote from Scary Movie.
Yeah, look at that idiot over there, Josh. I didn't know what Stitch was talking about. God, what an idiot.
Hey, speaking of that, little side note here real quick.
Yes.
Apparently the Wayans brothers got the rights back to Scary Movie franchise because I think the studio kind of like took away their rights for that movie. And they got it back, and I think they're working on Scary Movie 6, apparently. If that's what it's going to be called. But yeah, all right, little side note there. All right, continue.
Interesting. Nice. I will continue.
Back to the regularly scheduled program.
Love veering off though. It's the best type of content. Here's just a screenshot of all the bosses. I kind of mentioned most of them in the rundown of the levels if I didn't read the wrong line like I did the last one. But you got that defense cannon, which is the first level that we talked about right there, that wall. The ocular fire, the shadow beast, the phantom image core, heavy armored vehicle. You got the anti-gravity shuttle, easy for me to say. The armored giant, which I feel like I've attempted escape from stage 6. That's the armored giant. I feel like I went against him before.
You probably did.
I don't know. He looks really familiar.
I mean, dude, you know what? We very well could have beaten this game. We could have probably beat this game 100 other times. Honestly, do we remember? No, probably not. We can barely remember what we did last week or yesterday for that matter.
You're not
so
lying.
we might have kicked the crap out of this game. You never know.
Yeah, you're right.
But do we remember actually doing it? No, we don't.
Yeah, in a past life, I beat this game. So
might have.
That's what I keep trying to tell myself, at least. And then the alien heart, which again, weird final boss, but that's how you save the world back in the 1987. Which thankfully they did, because if the world was not saved in February of 1987, the real Josh Elliott might not have been bored. Are you looking off screen, Stitchamania?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to call you out there, but I caught you.
No, you're good.
Caught you red-handed. Oh, man. Love it. Can't wait for Scary Movie 6. See, now we got a Scary Movie 6 conversation happening. I like it.
If that's actually what it's even going to be called, I don't know.
Yeah, I have to look that up. Stitch.
No, then if we start looking up information, man, then people are going to start confusing us with real experts, and we don't want that.
No.
We don't want people to come on this show and think, hey, these are two guys that absolutely know what they're talking about.
I don't think we're ever going to have that problem. That problem's never going to be one that we have to deal with. That pretty much wraps up Contra. Like the Nintendo, as far as my favorite Nintendo games, this is probably never going to fall out of the top 5 when I'm talking about regular Nintendo games for how fun it was. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it was frustrating. But as I've said every single week, that I always enjoy playing games that I could play 2 players, multiplayer, co-op at the same time. Absolutely. And this is one of them. So would you, I don't know about you, but again, that's my top 5. Would you put this in your top 5 Nintendo games?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
That wasn't even a hesitation.
No, because there's yeah. Because at least 2 of the Ninja Turtle games are in my top 5. So
that's right. You're a Turtles guy.
One of them is in there for NES.
Yeah.
Even though it was a frustrating game, but yeah. You got Mike Tyson's Punch Out, which will be a future episode. We just don't know when, because that's my favorite Punch Out game of all time. And we touched, you and Jason touched on that, a little bit with the Super Nintendo. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
fantastic, man. That Alyssa thought we were experts. I mean, depending on what the topic is, I guess maybe occasionally, every once in a while. That wraps up Contra. Stitch, do you have anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, man. I might after we're done with this, I might go play it some more and get mad and die, not even make it to the second level. So yeah.
Put yourself through the suffering that you did back in the 80s. So
yeah, that's
always fun. You think you get better with age, but do we really?
Nope.
Do we really? All right. With that being said, appreciate everybody for tuning in. We are going to jump into the pop culture section as we always do. So we got a movie that was released in February of 1987, and that is Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Such a great movie, man.
Eddie Murphy. Love this movie, man.
Yep.
Love it.
And they just came out, about a year ago almost? Like June or July. They came out with, the 4th Beverly Hills Cop movie, which is called Axel.
Yeah. So, yep.
And it was actually a really good movie for, them waiting 100 years to, decide to make another one,
100 years.
I'm obviously exaggerating, but yeah, I think Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out in 1994, 95, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. But yeah, I love I watched, I don't think I've seen the most recent one. But the first 3, I've watched all 3 of those. Yeah, so I need to go back and watch the 4th one.
They are absolutely 100% my favorite Eddie Murphy movies, hands down, because that was prime Eddie Murphy.
100%.
That was prime when he was hilarious.
Yeah, he still is funny, but definitely was top of game, like you said, in the 90s and late 80s.
when he got older and got a family, he stopped being all out comedian like he used to be, like with Raw and Delirious and stuff like that. So
yeah,
because those Raw and Delirious, I believe it's Delirious and Raw for sure. But when he did that stand up, man, it was classic.
Yeah.
So,
yep. All right. So the TV show that was released in February of 1987. Johnny Quest.
Wow. I actually remember watching that show.
I do too. Very little, but I do remember watching this occasionally as a kid. And it was released just before I was born. So Again, don't have much memory of it, but I do. It was on the television a little bit growing up.
Yeah.
I don't know how many seasons they had or how many years it was on, but
yeah, I don't either.
It was good stuff. And then we've got a also in 1987, February. You've heard of the band Bon Jovi. The song "Living on a Prayer" was number 1 on the top 100 charts in February of 1987.
Ah, look at that hair, man.
Look at it, man. Would you just look at it?
Oh, I'm looking at it.
Yeah. It was definitely, all of them had the 80s, the stereotypical 80s hairdo. That's wild. Wild. All right. So, Stich, you got anything to add before we close it out?
No, man. I think we pretty much covered it all.
Yeah, I think I mean, we're almost at an hour right now anyway. So, I mean, we're right where we normally end for the most part. Yeah. Nintendo, like NES games, just because of how limited they were with like features and modes and stuff, those are going to be the games that probably go a little bit, the episodes are going to be a little bit shorter just because there's not a lot to talk about. But yeah, Contra, super fun game. If you have the chance, if you've got a retro game stick or if you've got a regular Nintendo, go back and play Contra. Tell us how you do. Tell us if you've ever beat the game. Comment on the YouTube. Comment on the comment section of Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, Spotify. Let us know if you've ever beaten the game. We will highlight your comments on a future episode, which, speaking of future episode, I don't think I have the graphic. I'm slacking on that. But next week, we are going to change gears, and we are not going to talk about a video game. We are going to talk about the drinks of the 90s, and that is going to be next Wednesday at the same time. I am hoping it's going to be a video at the same. It's going to launch at the same time. This episode has already been recorded, so it's not going to be live, but I'm going to schedule it to go live, hopefully, and we have no issues. I'm out of town that week for work. Not able to get an episode out, but we have been recording bonus episodes, things that aren't necessarily video games. So, and we're going to continue to do that and maybe release them. We might even do a live episode. That's not a video game. I kind of want to do that at some point.
Oh, yeah. Because there's lots to talk about.
Yeah. And I think people listening and watching would have a fun time talking about something maybe other than in a video game. But drinks of the 90s, if you remember, any drinks from that era, just comment on our social medias. Let us know what you remember, your favorite drinks that may or may not still be around. Let us know. And again, we will highlight those on future episodes and give you guys a shout out. Adam Call. We got 3 Adams here. Adam Call. So appreciate you, Adam. Again, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Alyssa, Autumn, Derrick, Stich, Brian Ruse, Adam Shea. It's been a fun one. Contra. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. We're talking drinks of the 90s. I am your host, the real Josh Elliott. This is my co-host, Stitchamania, Derrick Stich. And as always, let's get nostalgic.
Through the 80s and 90s, the games we all know. From Mario's jumps to Sonic speed. Legends and Quest, every gamer's creed.